Hello and welcome back to the Elsie McClure version. Today we are in Acts 25. Little history, okay? A little context. Big riot. Pharisees mad at Paul. What's new? He was taken by the tribunal. The tribunal sent him to the governor. The governor didn't see anything reason for him to die on behalf of these things. So then after 2 years of conversing regularly with Paul because he thought he would get a bribe, he never did. After 2 years, the governor position changed and somebody else came into governor. And Felix, the governor, wanted to do a fun thing for the Jews. So he left Paul in prison. All right, so that's where we're at. Verse 1 of 25. Now 3 days after Festus, that's the new guy, that's the new governor, had arrived in the province, he went up to Jerusalem from Caesarea. And the chief priests and principal men of the Jews laid out their case against Paul, and they urged him, asking as a favor against Paul that he summon him to Jerusalem, because they were planning an ambush to kill him on the way. They really don't stop. The man's been in custody for 2 freaking years. Why do you need to kill him? Y'all dramatic. Oh my goodness. All right, 4. Festus replied that Paul was being kept at Caesarea and that he himself intended to go there shortly. So, said he, let the men of authority among you go down with me, and if there's anything wrong about the man, let them bring charges against him. After he stayed among them not more than 8 or 10 days, he went down to Caesarea. Okay. So he was in Jerusalem. They asked him to bring Paul to Jerusalem. He said, nah, homie, you can come down to Caesarea. You know what? As they should. You, the governor. All right. 6. He went down to Caesarea. Okay, so he stayed there about 10 days. He went down to Caesarea. And the next day he took a seat on the tribunal and ordered Paul to be brought. When he had arrived, the Jews who had come down from Jerusalem stood around him, bringing many and serious charges against him that they could not prove. Paul argued in his defense, neither against the law of the Jews, nor against the temple, nor against Caesar have I committed any offense. But Festus, wishing to do the Jews a favor, said to Paul, do you wish to go up to Jerusalem and there be tried on these charges before me? But Paul said, I am standing before Caesar's tribunal, where I ought to be tried. To the Jews I have done no wrong, as you yourself know very well. If then I am a wrongdoer and have committed anything for which I deserve to die, I do not seek to escape death. But if there is nothing to their charges against me, no one can give me up to them. I appeal to Caesar. Dang. He said, I want to talk to your manager, actually. Verse 12, then Festus, when he had conferred with his council, answered, to Caesar you have appealed, to Caesar you shall go. Ay. All right, verse 13. Now when some days had passed, Agrippa, the king, and Bernice arrived at Caesarea and greeted Festus. That's cool. And as they stayed there many days, Festus laid Paul's case before the king, saying, this is a man left prisoner by Felix. And when I was at Jerusalem, the chief priests and the elders of the Jews laid out their case against him, asking for a sentence of condemnation against him. I answered them it was not custom of the Romans to give up anyone before the accused met the accusers face to face, and I had an opportunity to make his defense concerning the charge laid against him. So when they came together here, I made no delay, but on the next day took my seat on the tribunal and ordered the man to be brought. When the accusers stood up, they brought no charge in his case of such evils as I supposed. Rather, they had certain points of dispute with him about their own religion and about a certain Jesus who was dead, but whom Paul asserted to be alive. Being at a loss how to investigate these questions, I asked whether he wanted to go to Jerusalem and be tried there regarding them. But when Paul had appealed to be kept in custody for the decision of the emperor, I ordered him to be held until I could send him to Caesar. Then Agrippa said to Festus, I would like to hear the man myself. Tomorrow, said he, you will hear him. All right. I feel like Festus is painting this in a slightly different light because his true intentions were not just broadcasted to Agrippa. But whatever. So Paul is this fascinating man in custody. Isn't it really interesting how he keeps getting put in front of leaders of that time who are And yet, then the leaders keep wanting to do a favor for the Jews. But what ends up happening is Paul just gets to keep furthering his ministry because he keeps getting to tell more people about, like, more leaders about Jesus. I mean, house arrest sucks, but still, like, it's interesting. What the devil meant for evil, God will use for good. Verse 23. So on the next day, Agrippa and Bernice came with great pomp and entered the audience hall with the military tribunes and the prominent men of the city. Then at the command of Festus, the prominent men of the city, man, they pulled everyone together. On the command of Festus, Paul was brought in, and Festus said, King Agrippa, I will present, and all who are present with us, you see this man about whom the whole Jewish people petitioned me, both in Jerusalem and here, shouting that he ought not to live any longer. But I found that he had done nothing deserving death, and as he himself appealed to the emperor, I decided to go ahead and send him. But I have nothing definite to write to my lord about him. Therefore I have brought him before you all, and especially before you, King Agrippa, so that after we have examined him, I may have something to write. For it seems to me unreasonable in sending a prisoner not to indicate the charges against him. And that's the end of that chapter. What a wild goose chase. Tell you what. Man. Well, I guess the question today is, do you have eyes to see that your current trial or the current evil that has been done against you will in itself be turned for good? Do you believe Romans 8:28? For everything works together for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purposes. That's what God says. Paul's living proof. He keeps getting put in front of leaders to tell the gospel. He may be in prison, but he has so much freedom. So, I'll talk to you tomorrow.